This season has been difficult. Pacing issues, manic setup changes, improper rain prep, and having struggles learning the nuances of the new chassis. So, let's talk about what's been happening and how things have been improving throughout. Race 1 started with high hopes. I didn't have a test day to see the nuances of the new chassis, but felt confident that I'd be able to figure it out. I'd spent time before the race weekend swapping my seat from the old kart to the new one, seat struts, and making sure everything met the tech inspection. However, race day was different. A new track layout to start the season off with a bang, and I learned quickly that I did not have the ideal setup, that my kart was not at all the same as my old kart. Not even close, for that matter. I had driven the same style chassis, the GTR 30 from Mac Minarelli, but I definitely didn't have it tuned the way I wanted it to. I mean, I made the assumption that just buying the same chassis would make it all fine and dandy. Turns out it takes a lot of work to get a kart to where you want it to be, and I had really put myself into a kart that I was not comfortable with at all. I ended up having a few tough battles though through the race. Looking back, it's easy to be critical of how that day went, but in the moment, it didn't really matter.
Took the clean flag where my car was fogged. I went.
What the hell are you doing to me?
So I get snowed.
I'm so sorry. I made two really bad judgments and I completely fucked this shit up. Dude, I was having a lot of fun racing. We were so close. That's all I care about. Actually,
Shit, okay?
oh, it's all fine. The real question is, did you have a GoPro on? I wanted to see. I'm so sorry. Oh, I gotta turn off the camera.
Race 2 was difficult right off the bat. Everyone was staring at their phones trying to predict the weather. I had limited practice in the rain with the new chassis since each session was a toss-up for wet or dry setup. I ended up with rain tires but a dry gear ratio, as well as a kart that was set up to be an oversteery, understeery mess. Qualifying went great, only being 4/10ths off the lead, however that stuck me in 6th place. Pretty tight pack. Then the weather changed up. I swapped tires and didn't have time to change gearing. I also didn't have any lens defog or rain X on my visor, so I had a mess of water and fog and not being able to see. It was a headache. At this point, I feel like I'm making excuses, because I am, but it's definitely not my day at the track, that's for sure. Race 3 was similar to Race 2, as the weather was also questionable throughout the whole day. first practice was damp, but not wet. Not wet. I didn't want to burn off my rain tires. Second session in quali was dry, which was amazing. It was nice to have a change of pace. But the rain was looking like it might pick up for the race. However, I made the mistake again of staying on the dry gear. But this time, though, it wasn't just a little bit of rain. It was torrential downpour. I was dumb and I didn't have a proper rain cover for my air filter, and I ended up sucking so much water into my engine to the point where I couldn't rev it past 4,800 RPM on the straight. It was scary. All the races for that day after my race were canceled due to rain. Maybe I'm just salty about how it went, but I think that was a fair call. It was nasty out there. Race 4 was the day after race 3, so tensions were really high for me. I was so nervous that my engine was just dead. I was so worried. We drained the oil the night prior, and I spent the morning flushing the engine. I think we did like 3 oil changes. Regardless, the kart was ready to go by practice 2. Kart felt great. Then, of course, disaster strikes, because why else wouldn't it strike? 2 people collide in front of me, and I try to avoid the accident. I ended up bending my right spindle as well as my tie rod. So I rushed back to the pits and rebuilt my front end. So I had to skip quali and set my kart up for the race. I didn't bother with gear change, even though I knew it was a little bit off pace, but I really wanted to get on track and have a decent race instead of just rain. I must admit, I really enjoy this layout. T1 is just addicting and just has such a nice feel to it. I ended up starting in last, but I get a wave by from one of the rookies, and I felt pretty energized to work my way up as far as I could. However, the gremlins of my new chassis, really my improper setup, were definitely still present. I ended up getting into a good battle with number 16 and really attempting to find where I could capitalize. It wasn't an easy task, and I didn't run away at all. He was right on my bumper until the very end. Sure, my pace wasn't where I wanted it to be, but it was much better than the prior 2 races. I was very excited for Kartmania. We made dinner plans for Saturday night. Friends at the track were bringing guests that I was super excited to meet, but things were cut short. Sunday had plans for rain, so Kartmania was cut in half. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet those people, since most were planning on showing up Saturday night to watch the race on Sunday. I started off with difficulty starting my engine, so I missed practice 1 to swap out to a different carburetor. I also started on the wrong gear ratio, so by the time quali started, it was the first time I'd have the opportunity to run at pace. I didn't record it, but it turns out I was pace. I ended up as the pole sitter. It was a complete turn of events from the prior races. I was shocked. I was 4/10 up from first too, so it was no accident. I was in first and I had to deal with it. I had put the kart on pole for Kartmania in the past, but I'll cover that in another video. Anyway, I really wanted a good start so I could capitalize on my good qualifying, but I'm gonna let you see what happens rather than listen to me ramble over the footage. So, here we go. So it's easy to watch this footage and think I was super upset, falling from the lead and not having time to catch up. However, I had a great time. Being able to fight with the guys up front was amazing. However, when I think about the season so far, I don't how each race hasn't gone my way. I mean, maybe I'm just coping, but the community aspect that this season has brought has been amazing. I meet new people each time, and it seems like every person there is just as happy to be on track as I am. Sure, everyone wants to win on track, but off track, everyone wants to see people improve and grow as drivers, mechanics, and a person as a whole. I mean, look at race 1 where Ronan was sad about the incidents between us. It's just racing. Things happen, but it's nice to have a community that wants to see everyone perform to their highest ability. I wish I had more to say about race 6. I was looking forward to racing on my favorite layout, however I made the incorrect assumption that I had figured out the ideal setup for myself. I in fact did not figure out the ideal setup, and I paid the price. I made my way up the field and... I blew it. What a fitting follow-up to Kartmania, you know? Similar to race 6, I don't have much to say. I geared for a draft since I was further back, and due to an incident ahead of me, I couldn't utilize the draft. Unfortunately, I didn't clear my SD card after race 7, so I don't have any footage for race 8. I qualified 8th in class, and due to some incidents ahead of me, I ended up in 4th, my highest finish this season. Too bad I didn't get it on video, so instead of talking about that, I'd rather talk about next year, 2024. I really want to focus on getting the setup of my kart dialed in. I feel like if my machine has an ideal setup, I can really capitalize on events that happen ahead of me. I'm truly excited for next season, and it'll be cool to see what I can really put on the table. On a deeper note, I'm sorry I haven't uploaded. Sometimes it feels difficult to find the time to edit and put things together, but I think I have a better approach now. I have ideas for not one, but like multiple videos. I want to push that, so hopefully that'll be soon. And instead of keeping you here, I'm gonna go get working on those. Talk to you soon, and I'll see you in the next one.